Hi folks, stratman here from pitware.com. Another video on trading strategies. Another typical strategy a lot of people employ, and I've done a lot of reading about, is what's termed the Asian session breakout. Now, you can do a lot of searching on Google for that, just like I did on the previous videos, but typically if we see a picture like this is what we're meaning. If we take the start of the Asian session, I mean, it's up to you to determine what you call the start of the Asian session, and then we take the what we are considering the end of the Asian session, and we make a box around that. In other words, take the low, take the high, extend the high and the low out. What we're looking for is to see if price, when price breaks out of that. And that's typically because going into the Europe and London sessions, price will typically do some larger moves than during the Asian session. Also, something that you'll notice is that when we project the lines out, price will quite often come back and retest the line that you make. Now, the big battle here is to try and determine what is considered your start and end of your Asian session. Now, if we just switch over to my normal trading chart, I've got it drawn here. This is the start of my session here. This is for yesterday, so I'm showing the whole session. So that's the start of the Asian session. That's the end of when I consider the Asian session's finished its range. I mean, you could have had the end of this range anywhere along here, way out to here, and you still would have seen the high and low being exactly the same. So, I mean, this dividing line here could be anywhere. I'll tell you what I normally set that to shortly. And then later on you can see that price has kind of broken out, come back, and it's kind of like almost like that line's become a support and resistance line. So what I do on the dashboard is I get it to draw that automatically. Remember, each one of these lines here is completely configurable, so you can have you can just have one line here if you like. You can call it whatever you like. I call this thing the Asian breakout. You could call it Asian session, you could call it Asian channel, you could call it anything you want. Then you could have kind of like, because my Asian session breakout is kind of shorter than probably some people use, I typically still monitor Japan as part of a session, and I look at Europe, United Kingdom. I've added an extra line here. You can configure what you like here. You could just have Asian, Europe, and US if you like, and then we're after the average daily range. But the cool thing is that within these boxes you can see what the range has been within them. So yesterday, which was really cool, is that you can see that typically the range is about 40 to 50 pips during this Asian box. So it's quite neat. So it's quite, when I say quite neat, it's quite consistent. So that's why I like breaking the average daily range down into the sessions. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to here. So for me, I always consider that basically as soon as trading stops in the US, which is 5 p.m. New York time, that's what we consider the close of the market, prices will have generally finished doing most of the large moving for that trading session. So I consider the start of the new day the end of New York. Some people consider it would be midnight UK time. For me, I just like to take it straight on a market session boundary, which is 5 o'clock New York. Then we enter Tokyo starting up. So Tokyo starts up, and then later on out here, Hong Kong starts up. And generally, when Hong Kong starts up, we see some significant moving. So what I like to do is I like to wait until Hong Kong has kind of done pretty much its move for the day, and typically that happens within the first half of the Hong Kong day. So if you choose Hong Kong midday, well, that's what I use. I use Hong Kong midday as kind of like my line where I say, okay, the Asian session has kind of established what it's going to do. So, and then I kind of like close off that, and that's where I make my box as kind of shown here. So this is the end of New York for me. So 5 p.m. New York, and this here is midday in Hong Kong. So to me, that's basically encapsulates most of the significant moving in the Asian session. And then we just project the lines out along, and as I've done here. So and you can see that that's worked pretty well. That's the rest of the session there, and then we're into today. And today you can see it's been in a nice little tight range for the day, and we're now out the other end of just past Hong Kong midday here. We're on the M5 chart looking at this, and we've seen a significant move just here. But when I say significant move, look, we've only done 20. I can see here that box is only 21 pips high, so that's what this height is, but the lines are projecting out for the rest of the day. So that's a really good strategy I use, Asian session breakout. Google it, it's there all over the internet, and you can make some serious pips when finally price breaks out of this range. Remembering that price will quite often come back and retest this. So usually what we do is the breakout occurs, comes back and does a retest back to the lines we've drawn, and then we trade off in that direction. Of course, using our moving averages and other ideas. So folks, I hope that's been helpful, just showing another strategy I employ. We'll see what other ones I can kind of pull out of the bag. We've done, I've got lessons on THV already, explaining how to trade THV. Those are in my lessons area. We've talked about moving averages. We've talked about Asian session breakout, trading with stochastics or oscillators. Tricks is covered in the other lessons. So I guess possibly I should have a talk about average daily range as being a strategy. Okay, folks, there we go until the next lesson. Please visit my site, pipware.com. I think you'll find a lot of use in this dashboard we've got here. Cheers.